I just want to give a quick mention before the video starts. I'm not using a script, so my dialogue might be a bit messy, so please forgive me if I meddle up a few words or whatever. Anyway, onto the video. Hello, my name's Truefort. People might know me from competitive matches in the EU on console, as that is where I play. I'm very dedicated to the community of comp, specifically just comp, nothing casual. Right, that is all I play, competitive, and that is it. And I'm quite upset with the recent dev diary that they released, Dev Diary 15, in regards to triple support, balance around triple support, and diving versus versus poking, I should say. And I'd like to go into that in depth. Now, I'm going to be linking the dev diary and patch notes in the description for this season, so if you want to quickly just review that before watching the video, you don't have to, but you can if you want to, then the links are there for you. But basically, Xiong has talked about triple support in the current meta, its impact on the game, and also briefly talked about poking versus diving or flanking, same thing technically, but I mean, it's not the same thing, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's the same sort of difference. And he had said a lot about triple support more than diving versus poking. But the stuff that he said about triple support in the current climate of balance was very defensive about triple support. But if you've played competitive, you don't even have to play at the highest ranks, right? I'm an Eternity player, right? I'm consistently an Eternity player. You don't have to play Eternity to experience these compositions. You can play at any rank. You can even play in Quick Play, really, to experience triple support. And I think a lot of players would know this by now, that triple support meta is superior to any other team composition. Like 222 has a balance of consistency with uptimes, but triple support, the only thing that really counts as triple support is also going triple support, because the amount of support, healing, and uptime that triple support allows does not get counted by anything other than the same composition that it is. You know, you cannot consistently balance out triple support by playing triple DPS, for example, because that just doesn't work if you've got supports that actually have brains, hands, and eyes. It just does not work. So the only way to really counter that consistently is to match the triple support. This is mostly seen on stuff like Koth, domination, occasionally seen on payload, but mainly on defense rather than offense. And it is a very powerful comp. This is just for those that don't know. Very powerful comp, very good uptime with ultimates if your supports can coordinate, because you've got 3 support ults, right? And if you're playing one of the good support characters that actually has a supportive ult that can heal, you can keep the uptime going for at least a good minute if you've all 3 of you've got ults, right? If you're smart about it, if you use your cooldowns, if all of you use your cooldowns well and you have good positioning and you use your ultimates, you can keep a fight going for a guaranteed minute. And that's like constant uptime, right? Of both abilities and ultimates, because as one ultimate goes out, you're then building it again, right? But then you've got 2 ultimates in the bank because your fellow supports have additional ultimates, so you've got nothing to worry about. You are just focusing on managing your cycles alongside their cycles, and you don't even need microphones to do that. It's that easy. But Xiong is acting like triple support is this highly skilled, coordination required, composition. But in higher ranks, you can't even queue with 3 people. So if you're doing triple support, at the most you're doing it with one other person that you know, right? So unless you've all got mics, which, let's be real, no one ever mics up in this goddamn game, you are mainly just doing it with 2 randos. Right, that's all I ever experienced. I never group up with people. I mean, this gameplay, this is me grouping up with someone, but disregard that. I never group up and try and coordinate my gameplay, because what's the point in doing that? There's no point in doing that. you should be good enough at high enough ranks. You should be good enough not to require stacking, right? And that's what the game should be like. You shouldn't need to stack with others just to rank up, because that's boosting at that point, right? Anyway, I'm going on a rant, but Zhiyong is acting like it's the super skilled composition, but obviously it's not. I feel like we as a community should know this by now, that it is not a skillful composition. It is simply a composition that has the most uptime and most resource generation versus any other composition. And in an attempt to balance that, quotation marks, he has lowered all ult generation by, he said, around 20%, but if you review the patch notes, which I'll be linking in the description, it's not actually 20%, it's 20% for DPS and tanks, but for supports, which this update is specifically supposed to be nerfing, right, triple support, it only does 15%, and that's for both healing and damage, right? So it's like, across the board, yeah, for tanks and DPS, it's 20, but why would that even matter? Because you cannot really heal on tank. You're not going to be like, yo, I'm building what's an ult that you can build with healing? I'm building Angela ult because everyone's grouping up around my circle and we're all healing together. Or I'm building Penny ult because everyone's standing on my webs. Like, you're not doing that. And like, how many characters on DPS can even heal with healing? You've got the Hawkeye team up. You've got let me think. I don't even care. Wait, why do I care? Because who's going to be healing on DPS? No one, right? So it's basically just a damage nerf, not damage nerf, an alternate nerf to energy gain, but it only really affects people not playing support. So how does that balance triple support? Well, it doesn't. It just does not. And it also nerfs 222, because if you think about it, if everyone is now gaining less ultimate charge, except for supports, which are gaining 15% less versus 20% less, then reasonably, right, you want to run triple support, because now instead of having 4 characters gaining 20% less, you're having 3 characters gaining 20% less and 3 characters gaining 15% less ultimate charge. So how this balances triple support, I don't know, but I think that's the point, right? I think if you've watched the video, hoping that you have, it's very clear he's in defense of triple support. And that is what is obsessing me the most about Zhiyong, this update, and this season. And obviously the current balance of the game, I mean, if you've been like watching any videos, looking at any people complaining about the game, they're complaining about balance, or they're complaining about behavior, right? Behavior you can't really do much about because people are just going to complain if the game's not in a good state. But balance, there's something you can do, and that's figure out where the unbalance is coming from, and then you can figure out what you can do to remedy that as a player, right? Specifically speaking about player perspective, not dev perspective, player perspective. And a way that people were dealing with that is they were banning stuff like Gambit, like Loki, like Invis. Very briefly, they were banning Luna. If you remember, before the ult got changed, people were banning Luna a lot. I was banning Luna a lot because her ult uptime was the best ultimate in the game. Right. So the devs eventually changed that, but they changed that really quickly, right? They would nerf these ultimates after the characters were getting banned, but this hasn't actually done anything to deal with the ultimates. It has just encouraged people, mathematically, you are now more encouraged to run these characters and stack these characters and their ultimates. Not stack them as in use them all at the same time, I mean like run them all together in the same composition, because you get that additional uptime versus not having those characters. So it's in a very weird state. People are still running triple support, so this hasn't actually done anything to remedy triple support. I don't think I've seen much difference in Ultimate Generation, but it's there. It's definitely there because you're not having the same sort of like forward momentum. You know, you're not having that same sort of tempo. It's noticeable, but it hasn't actually changed the game whatsoever. But it's kind of just an irritant, right? A small irritant. It's like, oh, why? If I just had this ult here, then we could have kept fighting. Or if I had this ult right now, I could do this and that. But now we don't have that. But then we're still running triple support. Enemies are still running triple support to counter our higher skill, and there's nothing that's been done about it. Like, characters haven't been nerfed. I mean, some characters have been nerfed, right? Gambit has his ult nerfed now, but that was in response to him being banned repeatedly. That was not in response to triple support. Because you can still play Gambit in triple support. You can still play Gambit with Loki in triple support. You can still play Gambit with Loki with Invis in triple support. And you can have crazy uptimes with both abilities, ultimates, and sustainability. Right? Nothing's changed about that. Not a single thing. So, and with the release of this new character, right? Like, this new character comes with CC. And it's not as bad as Luna Freeze or Mantis Sleep, but it is CC, right? Playing it, you can compare it to all these CCs, and you can say like, oh, here's where this is like different, or here's where you can actually get value from this and not actually die. But it is a very oppressive ability if you both use it right and if you're trying to do something specific. And the use of it is pretty brain dead. You just saw it there. That was the CC in the video. That big massive blue thing. That's how wide the CC is, right? It's like a tiny. I'm just gonna compare it, but it's like a tiny Phoenix burst, but it's not tiny because it's not in an AOE on the ground. It's an AOE forward, so it's both bigger but smaller, if that kind of makes sense. And it can cancel ults. I'll show some clips here in just a moment.
With the amazing Spider-Man. By the eye of Agamotto.
Oh, I got the charm cancelled my ult. So you've got this ability that has the same stopping power as a Phoenix burst, yet it takes less skill. It's got a wider range, so you've got less chance of missing it. I don't know what the range is on how far you can send it, but you can see how wide it is. It's like the same size as my character, right? And I'm fairly certain. I know it pierces. It can pierce multiple targets, so you could, I guess, if you are all playing together for some reason, you could have someone on the enemy team hit you and get all 6 charmed. But like, that's not going to happen because who's going to do that? But it can hit through Strange Shield, just for an example. And that's not something I think any AOE can do. I don't think there's a single AOE. Obviously, if you get hit by the Phoenix Burst, maybe there's some like hitbox jank where the explosions afterwards can maybe like pierce through the shield. But there is not a single CC that can be thrown out and go through a shield. This is the first one that can do that. Disregarding, Angela spear jab, because that's a melee. Obviously that's going to go through. Same thing with a Wolverine grab, because again that's melee. Like I don't know. This character, it's the Kiriko of this game, and I'm not just saying that for TP reasons. She's got the TP, but she has such an oppressive ability that you need to both save and just throw out whenever the hell it matters, right? It is an incredibly impactful ability, despite it only CCing for about half a second, maybe less than half a second. She's such a powerful character, and her ult, when she's in that fox form, if you've got another support alive that's actually, you know, paying attention, has hands and has eyes, you can just heal it. You can just out-heal any damage it takes, because not only is she healing herself in that, but she's got the massive health bar that it gives you, and then you can get healing from anyone else. And it also allows you to avoid abilities such as Clobber, Wander All, Magneto, Meteor, Pulse from Iron Man. It can allow you to do that, so you can essentially just counter an enemy ultimate if you get attacked by an ultimate whenever the hell you want. It does not matter. You will survive because it gives you that Hulk transformation invulnerability frame. And that's pretty impactful on a support. That is very impactful on a support, because they're the ones that are going to be getting hit by those types of abilities that you desperately want to kill someone with if the situation calls for it. I know this was originally a 3v, a triple support complaint, but this does add into the dev diary thing, because now they're introducing this new character that can do all of this stuff that you want on your team, right? She is going to be meta, even though her damage is not that great, or neither is her healing output just from her bursts, but she has so much utility that you need this character on your team if the enemy team is playing dive, or the enemy team has ultimates that you can counter, right? She's totally useless against characters like Phoenix, Hela, Magneto, Emma, if you time the ultimate correctly and don't just like do it when you're in front of someone's face. Who else? Cloak and Dagger, what's his name? Gambit. Right, she doesn't do anything against those characters. But on characters that dive, instead of just, you know, strafing and shooting, holding R2 down, she completely shuts them down. It's not a hard CC to hit. It's nothing like Mantis Sleep or like Ice Snowball. It is brain dead. And now I'm going to transition into the talks about poke versus dive. Now, in the dev diary, the response was that they didn't want it to be oppressive, dive as a composition specifically, but in turn that just means hitscan's going to be oppressive. So in a game where a lot of your characters are melee based or close range based, or you know, they require movement and good positioning to get kills or value, having a very hitscan based meta just completely de-incentivizes those playstyles. Now, you've got characters like Daredevil, Iron Fist, and Mr. Fantastic, who have these abilities that grant them such high uptime, yet they are restricted to such a very specific range and a very specific playstyle. While these poke characters, you know, like Bucky, Elsa, Hawkeye, and Punisher, you can play in multiple different compositions. Right, but you are never going to be playing a Iron Fist in a sustain composition, right? You're never going to be playing a Daredevil in a poke composition, or a Fantastic in a I don't even know. I don't know. But you're not going to be playing in these characters outside of the compositions that they are designed for, right? You can't do that. They're not designed for that. So in response to try and make hitscan less oppressive, they nerf Elsa, Bucky. You know, the main issue causes, you know, the characters that are consistently being banned. But that didn't actually change anything about them, right? Elsa's still incredibly oppressive and gets banned every single match. Bucky still dominates lobbies and is a server admin, and Daredevil, even though they nerfed Daredevil again, he is still getting banned repeatedly again because his abilities have that uptime, right? I remember a time when Fantastic was being banned because he had that uptime, and that was before the buffs that they gave him, right? So he had that massive uptime, and they were banning him. But then new characters came along with even better uptime, and then people had to ban those characters in response, and then people just didn't care about Fantastic anymore. But he's still got that crazy uptime. And same with Daredevil. You can nerf his health, you can nerf his damage. He has uptime. He has the best uptime in the game. Same with Iron Fist. They both got the best uptime in the game. They both got the best ability cycle. And they just farm stats and beat down your players. And it doesn't matter how many times you nerf Elsa, Bucky, Hawkeye, it doesn't matter how many times you nerf these characters. They're going to be oppressive unless you buff other compositions, right? You cannot say that Dive is more or equal to Poke as a composition in terms of balance. You cannot say that in this current meta. And I don't think you can say that in the game ever, with how these characters are designed, because it's all about uptime. It's not about damage, it's not about stats, it's uptime. And even if you nerf ability cooldowns, right? I remember when they changed some movement abilities, right? They changed some movement abilities, and they changed some team up cooldowns. That doesn't change uptime because the abilities are still oppressive. Even talking about sports again, the nerf to Gambit, they nerfed his ult. That didn't change his character. People still ban him because he has other things going for him. He has such utility in his kit, and he's got such uptime that, a nerf to his ultimate for a few seconds, I think it was like 2 seconds, that didn't matter. He's still oppressive. And here's another thing about the Poke versus Dive thing that was mentioned. They briefly talked about stuff that was coming in season 7.5, or were we in 8.5? I don't remember. We're either in 7.5 or in 8.5. Whichever number we're at currently, the 0.5 afterwards, that is when more changes are coming. They talked about stacking CC, and how oppressive that was, and that they were changing that in the next season. But why is that not in the game now? And why have they took so long to roll out these updates? Me personally, I think it's got something to do with their new character, the Black Cat, or whatever her name is. It's something Cat. I don't know, Catwoman. I think it's got to do with that, and her being completely countered by CC, because she's going to be an assassin character. Now, in the current game, in this patch, you can just stack CC. You can stack it, you can get completely obliterated by it, and there's nothing stopping it, right? Everyone knows Kidnap Tech, but I'm not even talking about Kidnap Tech. I'm talking about just CCs. Oh! I just got hit by 3 stuns. Now, the clip I shared was a very extreme example, because you only had 2 characters to force that amount of CC, and obviously I'm playing like an idiot, but those were just 2 characters, right? You got this new character, as I've just talked about, who has another form of CC that you can just throw out. I don't need to go over it again. But if you keep introducing these characters with these CC abilities, yeah, you're going to end up eventually with a composition that includes 6 characters that can all CC you. But you don't have to have 6 characters that can all CC you to stack CC. If you do it smartly, you can stack CC with just 1 character, right? Fastball Special, that is one of the most oppressive team-ups in the game. People don't play it because, you rarely ever play Thing and Wolverine together. You're mainly playing Emma and Wolverine because you want to stack Kidnap. And Thor as well, and Angela, because you want to stack Kidnap, but you don't have to do that with Fastball. You can throw the Wolverine at someone, that's 1 stun, and it guarantees a grab if they're not, if you're not being pushed by an invis or a Thing's in the way, blocking stuff, right? That guarantees a grab after guaranteeing a stun. So that already in and of itself is stacking CC with just 1 character, 1 team up. And you could count it as another additional ability, but really it's the Wolverine doing all the work. The Thing doesn't have to do anything. He just has to get into position, line up the Wolverine, and then the Wolverine does it. it's 2 stuns, 1 character. Ha, that sounds funny. But in more extreme examples, like the case I showed, right, where I got hit 3 times with stuns, but that was only from 2 stuns. Imagine if that happens, but you've got 3 supports, all with stun abilities, right? So you've got the new character, Mantis, and Luna. Oh, and Luna, that just reminded me, Luna got a team up with the new character, and she gains the ability to charm someone, right? She can throw out what the Fox character throws out, and that is another stun. It's another CC that you can stack, so you could charm someone to lower their, to stop them for a moment. Then you can ice ball them, you can snowball them, and then when they're out the snowball, if you've got that Fox character ready, they can then throw out the charm. But I think, I could be wrong, but I think the cooldown on the charm for the Fox character is so short that you could charm them first, then freeze them, then charm them again with the Luna, and then I'm fairly certain the Fox has her charm ability again, so you can then charm the character. I haven't tested that because no one seems to really want to play into team-ups in my region or in my skill rank level. I don't get that, right? I really don't get that. I just knocked a bunch of stuff over. I don't get that, but you can do that. I'm fairly certain that you can do that, because there's nothing in the game stopping you, and there's going to be nothing in the game stopping that for the next month, right? Because that nerf is coming 0.5. That's not now, but we need that now, and we've needed that for ages and ages. People have complained about Kidnap for I don't even know how long. People have complained about boosted supports having these very powerful, impactful abilities, like I've just complained about, right? I've just been gabbing on about that. But people have been doing that longer than I have. I've just started this season. People have been complaining about it since God, I don't even know. But why have we not had changes? Why are we getting these changes that are very impactful, very clearly important on gameplay later? Why is it taking so long? And I don't know if it's got to do with developer bias or developers prioritizing creating new characters over balancing characters, right? Because a lot of hit scan characters are completely unusable in this composition, in this current meta, right? Like, you cannot play Black Widow, you cannot play Iron Man, you cannot play it'll come to me. Like, there's a certain amount of characters in this game that are unplayable, that you cannot get value in real competitive matches. You just can't. So it very much feels like they're more focused on adding new characters and creating new characters and new compositions rather than balancing existing ones. And it just makes the game feel dreadful. It is so draining, and I don't want to go on about it because hopefully the people watching this are like me, that play competitive and only competitive, and have to deal with this sort of stuff. These sort of like high macro, very intense players that are very dedicated to their roles, their characters, their play styles, right? But if you are not that, if you are not experiencing that on a day-to-day basis, usually day-to-day basis, right? Because we're all playing ranked day-to-day. Because what the hell else are we going to do in our lives, right? Anyway, if you're not experiencing that, then I don't know what you're doing to have fun in the game, but I would like to do it with you. I need to know how people have fun in this game without complaining about a character. I don't know how it's feasible, or complaining about the balance. I don't know how it's feasible in this game. I would love to know how it's possible, but I don't think it is. I went on a ramble there. I lost track of what I was saying. Now, I'm just going under the assumption that this Black Cat character, Catwoman, I don't remember the name, is going to be an assassin-like character, and that's good because we haven't had an assassin character since. You could say Daredevil is an assassin character, but You could say that, but you could also say that he's just a side grade to Iron Fist, and he's just got really good uptime, really good sustainability, and you can just get a lot of value from his abilities. Now, an assassin type character is something like Jeff, is something like Spider-Man, is something like Black Widow. So that's my impression, that they're changing this when another assassin type character comes out, so that she is not completely shut down by all this CC in the game. But again, why have we not had something like this sooner? Why are we having to wait? Again, under my assumption, for a new character to come out for their playstyle for this playstyle that they're made for to actually get balanced. It just does not seem like it makes sense. It doesn't seem to me like the developers are balancing around everyone. It makes it just seem like they're balancing around one specific group of players. Maybe the most vocal players. Maybe that's how they're doing it. Maybe they're balancing around the most vocal players. But if that's the case, then yeah, Dive's gonna suck because not a lot of players are playing Dive, right? For example, because most of these regions, America, for example, they're just playing Poke, or they're playing this kind of like, not Rush exactly, but like it's a brawl. It's hard to explain. You'd have to watch something to know what exactly I'm talking about. But if they're balancing for the most vocal, then that would explain a lot of things as to why the game is sucking right now. Why, Black Panther has been heavily just punished. Black Panther is also another assassin type character. Completely forgot to mention him. Where to the point where he's like kind of unplayable, because he was played a lot at the start. People got really good at him. He was like the Genji of this game, right? Like, could you imagine if Overwatch nerfed Genji as hard as they nerfed Black Panther? Like, God, that'd be abysmal. But again, I've rambled. But that, as a player who plays this game, that is what it seems like to me. I'm just very upset with the developers, with Ziyong, with the balance. I am having fun, right? The game, I am playing the game, I'm having fun at the game, I'm ranking up. It's not about me being unable to win matches or have fun. It's just about what play styles are being played, what is being encouraged, and how the game is being managed. Right, I'm not complaining about my personal issues with the game. I'm just complaining about the whole of it, and I'm just very not happy with the whole of it at the moment, and I'm very, very scared about the future of it, because this new support is just a joke. And I'm hoping that Black Cat is more of like a Spider-Man than a Daredevil, for example. But if it's not, I don't know. I don't know what chances of that are. Because maybe she's got like a grapple hook and she could like fling it around, and she could knock back stuff, and she could just avoid taking all the damage in the world. And she's like melee, but she gains health on abilities. Oh God, I hate how every character nowadays seems to gain health from abilities. Oh, things got it the worst. He can just tank so much, but like Bucky and Elsa, Iron Fist has gotten that ult where he gets so much health. Again, I'm rambling on, but the design of some of these characters, it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't feel good to play. It's not. I don't know. You have to be playing this game to understand my emotions. If you don't understand my emotions, then maybe I'm not conveying them as well as I could be, or maybe you're just not playing the game as much as you should be. But I'm going to stop the rambling now. I guess I'm going to very briefly talk about the 3 bans. I mean, you can see on the screen right here, we had double Gambit bans, double Wolverine bans. Ziyong didn't stop double banning. He didn't alter it. it's still, you can still do it. Almost every match I'm getting into has a double ban, and it's either Gambit, Daredevil, Elsa, or Wolverine. It's one of those characters. And what are we supposed to do about it as players? I know people have been complaining about double bans for a while. I've watched videos where people have been complaining about double bans. I have been getting into matches where we're the first ban that's going through is a double Gambit, and that was before the 3 bans. It's not a good system. And even without double banning, that's now 6 characters you can ban. You could ban the majority of the tanks, or you could ban the majority of the supporters. My friend was telling me about how in the one match he got into, that actually happened, and people banned 6 supports. I didn't see that. I wasn't a part of that. I was just told that happened, and yeah, that can happen. I don't even need to see proof of that, because that can happen. There's nothing to stop someone from or a team from accidentally banning or purposely banning 6 supports or 6 tanks. If you ban 6 DPS, then that's fine, because there's a lot of DPS characters. But tanks, no. Supports, no. There's not enough characters for that. You're restricting so many playstyles now. But that thankfully doesn't happen because people are so scared of Elsa, they're so scared of Daredevil, they're so scared of Gambit, they're so scared of Loki, they're so scared of Hulk, they're so scared of Wolverine. And it doesn't matter how many times you nerf these characters, how much you change their stats, they're still going to be scared of these characters because of how they're designed. It's the design that's flawed, not the numbers. If you just cram the numbers down, they're still going to get played. If you just cram the numbers up higher on characters, they still won't get played. You can't play Thor, for example. You can just barely play Thing. You can't play Venom at the moment on supports. Let me think. You can't play Adam, right? Because he does not have a good enough ult. You can just barely play Jeff. You can just barely play Mantis. It's not good enough. They need to just figure out. They need to just stop trying to add these new characters. They need to work on the older characters. But that's enough rambling from me. I've said my piece. Sorry if I bored you. Thank you for watching.
From Moon Knight, even though they've not.
Oh, they've got no tanks. They've given up. They have no tanks.
Yeah, GG's. Rocket one.
Hey, watch out for that Hawkeye. I'm pinging him.
Nice. I mean, they're throwing a game that they can easily win.
Yeah, but triple support is a little bit too good. And Ji Young's not doing anything about it. He's defending it. Did you not see the? Did you see the recent dev dialogue?
He literally said,
Yeah.
triple support takes skill. Literally said it.
Mm.
And it's not
Did
a
he?
problem.